Hello and welcome to my What the F podcast. I'm Tina, your IVF mindset and fertility coach and mum of a miracle boy after 4 years of IVF treatment. If you're in the IVF trenches or going through the loneliness, soul-destroying and tears of infertility, then you're in the right place. You are not alone in this. I'm here to help you be kinder to yourself, even in the toughest moments when you feel so frustrated and overwhelmed and feel like giving up. Together, we will help you to find happiness and peace during one of the toughest chapters of your life. And if there is just one thing that you take away from this podcast and work on, then my heart is already full. Hey beautiful souls, welcome back to What the F, from infertility, exhaustion to peace. I'm Tina and today I'm going to be opening up my heart to talk about something personal, and that's my own journey through infertility, IVF treatment and everything else in between, and how it ultimately led me to becoming an NLP master practitioner, life coach and fertility coach. Now, this journey hasn't been an easy one, and I'm sure so many of you can relate to that. Infertility is a road filled with highs, lows. I always say the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows, and so much uncertainty, which was unbearable at times. But it's also a journey of transformation where I learned to heal emotionally, physically, and spiritually, and really honestly found my true calling as a coach, especially here in Singapore, where talking about infertility is still considered taboo or something to be truly ashamed of. I've had quite a few women reach out to me already to, wanting to understand more about my journey and my story, so I thought I'd do a podcast on it. So today is all about my journey, and I want to take you on a walk with me through my story and how I moved from feeling broken and isolated to becoming the woman I am today, helping other women just like you in the exact same boat. So I'm a South Asian woman, Indian, in case you can't tell from my profile picture. I was born in London and then I moved to Singapore literally after I got married to my husband. We had a magical destination wedding in Italy in 2016. And I guess I was always working against the grain of a traditional Indian girl. There's 4 girls in my family, and we were always taught by my dad to be level-headed, strong-willed, passionate, compassionate, and really go and chase your dreams, as no man is going to do it for you. And with that in mind, I finished my degree at uni in Cardiff University in Wales in neuroscience and took a year out in Los Angeles, California, at one of the top neurological research centers and hospitals. By the way, this doesn't happen so often in our community, so this was pretty new and groundbreaking to go all the way out there on my own for an entire year. We're talking about 27 odd years ago, so it was a long time ago. Anyway, long story short, I moved out of my parents' home around 22 after university to live with my sister who had just bought a place. And then shortly after, I bought a place and lived on my own for a while before meeting my husband and getting married in my mid to late 30s. And after getting married, we had an amazing wedding. We moved to Singapore from London and soon decided to start trying for a baby. So we took a bit of time to settle in and enjoy our new adventure. And then we knew that neither of us were getting any younger, so we decided to start naturally trying for a baby. What should have been a really exciting journey for us quickly turned into chaos and something we were never, ever prepared for, physically, mentally, or emotionally. Honestly, I'd always dreamed of becoming a mother. I know that sounds a bit sad for some people, but coming from a big family, I really wanted to have a big family of my own. And that didn't mean, I didn't want to have a great career, which I did. I had all of those things, but I also wanted to have a big family and have children. But that dream soon became so uncertain for me. After several months of trying, I think it was like 6 or 8 months of trying, my husband and I decided to go for just some routine fertility tests just to see and make sure everything was okay. And it was all very chill. Like, we weren't worried. We didn't even suspect anything. We didn't even know. And so we were walking. We had made this appointment with the fertility doctor just to get our tests done and to check and to get the report back. And my husband called me. Like, I was on my way, and he called me, and he was just asking me if I was on my way. And I said, yeah. And he sounded really bizarre and a bit quiet. And then I just knew something was up. So when we got to, I just remember it like it was yesterday, when we got to the doctor's clinic, she basically was looking through my husband's report and said to us, we're judging by these reports, it's going to be really, 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 really tough for you. In fact, nearly impossible to conceive naturally, because my husband has very low, she basically said that he's got very low sperm count numbers and quality, like super, super, super low. And if you do want to have kids, then you need to pretty much start IVF treatment ASAP. And I was like, what the F? I was completely taken back. This was like a massive shock for me. And yeah, we never expected it. And we didn't really know much about IVF treatment too at that point. We were both quite naive about this whole thing. And yeah, that was the start of it all, really. It was really at this point that the emotional and mental strain of the whole journey really started to hit me. I was spending so much time focusing on and researching all the medical aspects, finding the right doctor, understanding all the steps we had to take and everything that would be involved with starting IVF ICSI. We managed to find an incredible doctor. For me, it was really important to have someone that had that bedside manner and compassion and empathy, which is really hard to find in an Asian country, if I'm honest. Everyone's very direct here, so it was very hard to find someone who was going to be quite gentle and compassionate towards like what we were going through and what we wanted. And he was pretty much the only doctor that didn't advise starting treatment ASAP. He wanted to prepare our bodies, not so much our minds, but prepare our bodies for IVF treatment. And so we were both put onto a strict regime of supplements and injections, actually, for both of us. So growth hormones for me, and my husband took testosterone injections as well. So when we started, I was working full-time. My background is actually digital marketing. So I was working full-time in a digital marketing agency when we started our first round. And I really clearly remember running into the toilets to take my injection before rushing into a client meeting. And it was really at this point that I started to ask myself, like, what the F are you doing? And I decided at that point that I was going to leave my job, which had come to a natural crossroads anyway. So I was either going to, the whole team were moving around. There was a restructure in place, and the team got broken up, and I was asked to join another role in a team where I knew it was going to be even more stressful and even longer hours. And I was not signing up for that, knowing that I had this journey ahead of me. And so I decided to take the redundancy and leave and speak to a career coach and life coach who also happened to be a specialized therapist who works with women that had gone through fertility treatment and challenges. So I just happened to come across her, and she just basically knew everything, and she was brilliant. And so after about 4 or 5 sessions with her, it turned out that I actually wanted to explore a career around coaching and life coaching, especially working with women on the fertility journey, because as the more and more I got into the journey, I realized like just how much of it is around your emotional well-being and mental well-being, and how much of that is impacted, like solidly impacted when you go through this journey. Like it hits you like a slap in the face, honestly. And that was really the start of my NLP training and life coaching training. At the same time, I was pretty crazy, but I did it at the same time as going through all of my treatment. So I was doing injections, the appointments, the waiting periods, and I had honestly no idea how much you invest during a fertility journey, and I was never prepared for any of it. So we went through multiple rounds of IVF, and each one came with its own unique set of challenges, crossroads, blocks. Like it was mental, the physical exhaustion, mental fatigue, and just huge sense of loss with every failed cycle and every failed attempt. Just that feeling, that emotional, heavy energy feeling of just not knowing what's going to happen as you turn every corner. It was like a surprise that you hadn't expected, and not in a good way. There were moments where I felt like I was failing in motherhood because I just couldn't get my body to respond. The pressure was immense, especially like living here in Singapore where infertility is still so taboo, and being so far away from my family. Like, my family all live in the UK. It felt like it really did feel like I was on my own at times. And they were great. They were incredibly supportive and only a phone call away. But when when you've got that physical distance, it does make it really hard. And the societal and cultural pressures and cultural expectations were honestly suffocating. So, there's this belief in cultures I come from and cultures here in Singapore that family is everything. And if you can't have a child, you're often met with that really pity or unwanted advice from people who just don't get it and don't understand that your journey you're on. And so it was during this time of the deep emotional and exhaustion, oh my God, physical exhaustion, that I discovered Neuro-Linguistic Programming, NLP. Honestly, I'd heard a bit about it before, but not much. And it was like I was handed a life jacket at the right time where I felt like my life was sinking. And so during the IVF journey, I'd left my job already, and I decided to train as an NLP master practitioner and life coach. And looking back, this was one of the most transformative decisions and one of the most important decisions of my life. I didn't just want to manage through the fertility journey. I didn't want to just get by. I didn't want to muddle through. I didn't want to push through. I wanted to live. I wanted to live my life. I wanted to find joy. And I wanted to change my entire mindset and perspective and learn how to reprogram and rewire my thoughts, especially the ones that have been holding me back for the rest of my life, that have started to surface on this journey. I wanted to change the way and understand how to change the way my brain was wired, worked. And I wanted to learn about, just being more aware of my own mind and body connection, and raise my own awareness first, understand more about me before being able to support others. I knew that my journey wasn't just about medical treatment. It was also about healing my mind, body, and spirit, and just learning how to stop living in constant limbo. And NLP gave me that lifeline and gave me the tools to completely reprogram the negative thoughts I was having around self-blame, like blaming myself, blaming my body, blaming myself for not starting this whole journey earlier, being in my late 30s by now. The fear that I was having around all of this and what's going to happen in the future, and the constant self-doubt about why is it not working for me? It's working for everyone else around me, or everyone else around me seems to be getting pregnant so easily. What's up with that? The NLP tools helped me to learn how to manage and regulate my own emotions, helped me to, and still does to this very day, help me to release any guilt that I was feeling and find and honor self-compassion, because that is so important. That is so important when you're going through something as challenging, through something as devastating, through something as tough as a fertility journey and trying to get pregnant. But I also learned that feeling and processing is all part of the healing from inside out. Coming from an Indian family, right? We don't always talk about how we're feeling, our emotions. It's not something that's done. There's not always a safe place that's created for you to talk about what's going on with you and what thoughts you're having and how that's impacting you. We're always taught to kind of brush it away and push on and just keep going. And that doesn't help anyone, because you end up just blocking and storing all that emotion, and then that trauma following you throughout your life if you don't deal with it or learn how to bring it to the surface, learn how to process it, learn how to heal, and learn how to understand your nervous system and how to make it feel safe. Slowly, through all my training and coaching, slowly things started to change, not in just my fertility journey, but my life. Now, in the middle of IVF, which is as stressful as it can get, like off the Richter scale, off the charts, we also had, and like with so many other couples, women going through this, we also had so many other things going on because life is life, right? There's always going to be something. So we had COVID. COVID happened, which was pretty, affected everyone in all over, let alone like couples going through fertility treatment, because during COVID, everything had to shut down, everything had to stop. And during the worst possible time, my husband was made redundant twice. And so that was pretty scary for us, because living in Singapore, if either of us don't have jobs, we can't stay here. So we ultimately had 6 months, my husband had 6 months to find a job, because all our embryos were here, and we couldn't, with the borders being closed, we couldn't, there was no chance that we could relocate back to the UK and have the embryos flown over, because everything was closed and we didn't know for how long. So it was mental. Like, now I think about it and look back, I don't know how we got through it. It was crazy. And so we had to pause treatment for a while. On top of all of that, I had to pause treatment for a while because I started to get severe gastric issues. So I started developing GERD, which, at the time, I feel like it was all from all the hormones I was taking, the antibiotics. I was taking so many courses of antibiotics in preparation for like transfers, and even a lot of the time our transfers were cancelled because the lining just wasn't ready. And so all those antibiotics, aspirin and blood thinners had just totally messed up my stomach and my gut. And so I had to like pause treatment, start to see a gastroenterologist, had a camera put down on me to see what was going on, and then go on to really, really strong meds, which were basically going against the fertility treatment. So I had to do that first, heal my gut, and get through all of that. So it was, and that was at the same time as COVID and my husband being made redundant. So it's all linked, right? It's completely all linked. The stress, mind-body connection, like what you're thinking, what you're feeling, it goes to your body. Like there's no way that your stress doesn't impact your body, and we all know it does. There's so many studies now, more and more awareness around it. And, there was, on top of that, we also had like family members getting sick, like really sick, friends getting sick. It was a lot. Like there was so much happening. It was a hard time, I have to say. So during my treatment, there were also surgeries. So I had a major surgery to remove my endometriosis and adenomyosis, and my husband had 2 surgeries. So randomly, before I started fertility treatment, I didn't even know I had endometriosis and adenomyosis, because I was one of the fortunate ones. I didn't really have the overt symptoms like painful periods, heavy bleeds, and everything else that went with it. Like my cycle was always very regular. So it was a complete shock to me when my doctor was doing all the tests and all the scans and said to me that my endo and adeno was pretty bad, and so we had to do surgery to remove most of it, or at least as much as we could. Yeah, so what else can I say? Oh, so my treatment, during my IVF treatment, there were ERAs, there was lipid infusions going on, miscarriaging profiling. I had to see a rheumatologist for other areas, other aspects, and because we were going through multiple cycles, multiple rounds of transfers that weren't working, we then started to look into that deeper and started to do Plaxine shots. And then I had to see an endocrinologist because my thyroid levels were a bit off, weren't optimal. So I had to then take medicine for that. So it was full on. It was a full-time job managing it all. It was really intense. But I think along the way, because it was so intense and because it went on for so long and because there was so much happening, my husband and I decided that we were going to take a longish break. And this was before COVID, actually, literally just before COVID. I just thank the lucky stars that we did this, because we took a break and we did some traveling around Asia. and managed to like check off so many things on my bucket list, like the Terracotta Army and Great Wall of China. And I feel like we both really needed that reset. It was so needed. And we just, I still had injections that I had to take, so I took those with me. So it wasn't like you were completely like free from fertility, because I had to take, I had to keep taking some of my shots. So I took them with me. And it was fine that I just took them around wherever we went, came back to Singapore to restock and went back out again. Everything in Asia is pretty close, so it was fine. But we just took that break that we needed. So we weren't, it wasn't about doctor's appointments and scheduling this and scheduling that. And it was just nice. It was just so refreshing, and it was so needed. And it was just so nice to make those memories, even in the shitstorm and trenches of IVF. And I honestly, I always encourage clients that I work with, if they can, if time permits, to take a bit of a break, because you never get that time back, and you don't want to look back and see that throughout the whole of your fertility journey, that's all you focus on, and you didn't do anything. You didn't pause, you didn't make memories, you didn't do stuff that you loved doing, you didn't find those moments of joy. You just spent 4 years suffering. I really don't want that for myself, and I don't want that for my clients as well. So going back to my training, my NLP training and coaching training, I basically had this breakthrough, right? So IVF had drained me physically, but NLP really taught me about the power of the mind, and how the mind has a direct impact on your fertility, your body, and the way it reacts to treatment. So I began to really shift. I call it shift, but really it's a transformation. I started to transform my focus away from what was out of my control, and started to really focus on what was in my direct control. And that was my thoughts, my responses, my emotions, my beliefs, and most importantly, the relationship I had with myself. And it worked. We had a successful 4th cycle and 4th frozen embryo transfer. And I gave birth to a healthy, gorgeous baby boy, aged 42, despite all the odds and all the stats and everything else that was stacked against me. But that journey, the journey didn't just change my physical health, it transformed my whole life. NLP had given me the emotional resilience, the tools I needed to rewire my mindset, to rewire my subconscious, and to change the physiology of my brain through neuroplasticity, and most importantly, a deeper connection with myself. It taught me how to believe in the power of the mind. And I realized that if I could get through infertility with this kind of mental strength and resilience, I could help other women navigate their own journeys with the same tools and the same beliefs, no matter what path their journey takes. Since then, I've been working as an NLP master practitioner and life coach and fertility coach here in Singapore, helping women just like you, not just in Singapore, but around the world. I don't just offer mindset strategies. I offer deep subconscious level brain rewiring. I offer holistic support, from emotional healing to mindset transformations to spiritual connection. I'm a Reiki practitioner. I do sound bowl therapy. So for me, it's not just about the talking. It's about releasing energy work, releasing blocked emotions that are stuck in the body, and allowing the flow of energy in your body, the chi energy, to flow as well as it's meant to, basically. I offer rewiring of the mind on like I mentioned before, on a deeper subconscious level. The fertility journey can be incredibly isolating and lonely, especially when it's such a taboo topic and people don't want to talk about it in so many cultures. In the South Asian community, for example, infertility is often seen as something that's not really openly talked about or discussed, and women suffering can feel shame and guilt and feel really, really isolated. But my work is about helping women find their voice, break free from those generational pressures and trauma, and empower themselves to navigate their journey with peace and calm and clarity and whatever else that they want to feel when they're going through this journey, feel and experience. So whether it's through NLP tools like anchoring, visualizations, or working through limiting beliefs, I really help women manage the mental and emotional load of fertility treatment so they can move away from that fear, that uncertainty, the overwhelm, to a place of peace and empowerment where they can find moments of happiness and joy. And honestly, I really, really love what I do. Like a lot of my clients have said, they feel like I'm not just a coach, like I'm genuinely care. I'm there with you, like through it all, like through every step of the way. It's like having someone hold your hand who really gets it, having someone check in on you when family forgets to check in on you, or say the right thing at the right time when they really needed it. So that's me. Like I'm all in with you. And I just want to say one last thing, like this journey, my journey, has been anything but easy, but it has shaped me in ways I never imagined. Through the countless struggles, the unimaginable and unbearable emotional pain, the disappointments, and the moments where I just thought I can't take it anymore, I learned something so powerful, and that's healing starts within. Now, look, I'm not saying I have it all figured out because I don't. And I am just human at the end of the day. So there will be other feelings that creep in. And it's not that I don't still have my moments of doubt or fears or uncertainty. But with NLP, I know how to shift myself away from that when I start to feel that creep in. And I know how to help myself emotionally regulate, calm my nervous system, embrace healing, and really doing the inner work hand on heart. It's, for me, I truly believe that's what gave me my baby boy. And I truly believe in this work, that I do. I also want to remind you that no matter where you are on your journey, it's okay to feel everything you're feeling, whether it's anger, sadness, frustration, fear, hopelessness, envy, anything, everything, all of those and more. But it's also okay to decide that you no longer want to stay there and that you want to try a different way. You have the power to change your thoughts. You have the power to change your beliefs and how you respond, and the way you experience the world around you, and the way you feel about yourself. That is in your control. If you're ready to transform and rewire your mindset on a subconscious level, it's not just about affirmations and mindset work. It's about deep work, long-lasting work at a subconscious level, which, your subconscious part of the brain controls 90 to 95% of what you do. And if you're ready to work on that, and if you're ready to do the work, and you're ready to release the emotional weight, fog, and transform your journey completely, I'm here for you. Or if you are a pregnant mum or a new mum having been through a tough fertility journey and struggled to get where you are, I'm also here to support and guide you. Don't try and walk this journey alone. Thank you for listening today. If any of what I said resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And remember, you are incredible just the way you are. Take care of yourself, be kind, and be gentle. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope this episode brought you some peace, perspective, and a reminder that you're not alone on this journey. If you found today's conversation helpful, I'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your support helps others to find the safe space, and I'm so grateful for that. And if you're ready to take the next step in your fertility journey, get in touch with me. I'm here to help guide, and support you through this process. So, whether you need help shifting your mindset or just someone to listen, I'm with you every step of the way. I want you to remember that your fertility journey is uniquely yours, and that is enough. Take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, be gentle, and trust that you are incredible. You're stronger than you give yourself credit for, and every step you take is a step forward towards your healing and towards your growth. Sending you love, strength, and all the support you need. Until next time.